Hello and welcome back to In the Corner. I'm Cash. Today we've got a really good episode. Last night, Katie Taylor put on a three-peat over Amanda Serrano. She's now 3-0 in the trilogy. Beat her for the third and final time by majority decision. It was not as good as the first two fights. Just plain and simple. Far less output. First round, I don't think either of them even landed a punch. It did get better after that. I don't think it was like a bad fight or anything, but it was nowhere near as unbelievable as the first two fights were. And that's for many reasons. But we're going to talk about that whole card, break everything down, my thoughts on all the fights. We're going to look ahead to tonight where we have Ring Magazine 3 with Edgar Berlanga versus Hamzah Sheeraz, Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda, and so much more. I'm so excited for that. Some more events going on. Tank Davis got arrested yet again. We had the first press conference the other day for David Benavidez' Anthony Yard. So we're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff. Let's start with this Netflix event last night. So like I said, Katie Taylor beat Amanda Serrano by unanimous, or excuse me, not unanimous, majority decision. Scorecards were 95-95 and then 97-93. I had it 96-94. I think 97-93 is a little bit too much, if you ask me. And what's crazy about this trilogy is it really doesn't tell the story of what happened. People will look at this in the history books and say, oh, Katie Taylor beat Amanda Serrano three times. I guess she was just a lot better, like Amanda Serrano didn't beat her at all. That's not how it was. Every single one of the three fights, you can make an argument that Amanda Serrano won them. Every single one. This is actually the one I think that Katie Taylor won most convincingly. I think that they both changed their game plans and tried not to brawl as much as they did in the first two fights for different reasons. I think that Katie had gotten hurt multiple times in those other fights, and she wasn't trying to get into the pocket with Amanda Serrano because she knows that she wasn't as successful in the pocket as a lot of the times. As for Amanda, she didn't want to get headbutt. And for those two styles, it's easier for Katie Taylor to fight on the outside. Amanda Serrano's style is straight up forward pressure, all action, brawling. That's what she does. She brings the fire. And if you're not in Katie Taylor's face, then she's going to outbox you for a good amount of the fight. And that's what happened. Katie Taylor was getting not only the bigger shots, but more shots in it field. They landed the exact same amount of punches, but if you look at their accuracy, Amanda threw like 100 punches more. So Katie was just much more effective and such in the ring. Amanda Serrano still definitely had her rounds, and like I said, you can make an argument for a draw. I think a draw is a very very reasonable scorecard. I think that I have a 96-94 Taylor. I easily could have had a 95-95. If I were to say 96-94 Serrano, it's possible, but it's stretching it a little bit. But yeah, I think that Katie Taylor won the fight, and in my opinion, the first fight was a draw, but I understand that push comes to shove, you can probably give it to Katie Taylor. Second fight, Amanda Serrano won, and she was robbed on November 15th. There's just no question about it. Amanda Serrano won the second fight, so as far as I'm concerned, it it really could be 1-1 and 1, but it's probably 2-1 Katie. I know obviously it says 3-0, but we should never forget that Amanda Serrano came in every single fight and could have gotten the victory and was just unlucky. And sometimes people just have your number. And Katie Taylor had her number for most of the rounds. I mean, really, if you were to take all 30 rounds and score it, it probably ends up being maybe like 17-13 Katie, 16-14. It was very, very close every single fight. But the trilogy is now over. It was still a good fight. It wasn't as good as the first two. The first two were just magic and so many punches being thrown. I think that people should slow down a little bit talking about, oh, this fight sucked. It didn't. I don't think anybody is saying it sucked, but people were very disappointed, and I still enjoyed it. It was still a really good fight, but it was not as magical as those first two, and I don't think it needs to be because we have those first two, and we still had a solid entry in the third. So this will still go down as one of the best trilogies I think in boxing. Is it up there with Gotti Ward? No, but it's probably like top 10 maybe for what it did, especially for how it elevated women's boxing. Unbelievable. But yeah, the story's now over. There is no need in a fourth fight. If Amanda had won, maybe we'd be talking about that. But Katie's won all three fights. Katie says she's definitely done with it. Amanda punches too hard. I don't think that Amanda is up for a fourth fight just because she's like, I mean, what's the point? I've tried three times. I've given my best go three times, and I didn't get it in any of them. It's not going to happen in the fourth fight. So I think it's fine for them to move on. When asked if Katie would continue, she said she's not sure. We'll see. Definitely doesn't want to fight Amanda Serrano again, and I'm fine with that. And then obviously she's not going to fight Amanda. What is the next best option? It's Chantel Cameron trilogy. It is. And when asked about that, Katie said, I honestly had some kind of funny and trash talk type comments saying, "Oh, I think that Chantel Cameron needs to prove first that she can sell out a 1,000 seater before she can try and do a stadium fight with me. I've made her more money than she deserves." And I was like, damn, like Katie's gotten a little bit more smack talk to her recently, but I like it. Um, I do think that's the fight to make. Otherwise, Katie retires. There is some talk about potentially she could go up to 147 and fight Natasha Jonas or Michaela Mayer. I don't, or sorry, not Natasha Jonas, Lauren Price. I would love to see her fight Lauren Price, but I don't think that we need to see that. I'd rather her get the trilogy in with Chantel Cameron, try and make it at Croke Park, maybe do something in Vegas, or retire. I'd be very happy if she retired. She's had an incredible career, and this is nothing we need to talk about. Is she the GOAT? I am ready to get on, and for the longest time, I've been a Amanda Serrano fan. Katie Taylor, I think, may be the GOAT. It's between her and Claressa Shields, and it's hard to say. Claressa Shields does have those accolades, but if you look at Shields and her wins, she's all in the upper weight division. She hasn't had to fight the level of opposition that Katie Taylor has, and that's why I'm kind of inclined to say Katie Taylor is the GOAT. Um, she's had an incredible career, and I'd be fine if she ended it now. But if she wants to continue and fight Chantel Cameron or Lauren Price or whoever, I'm fine with that too. As for Amanda Serrano, I actually think it makes a lot of sense to do the Alicia Baumgardner fight. Listen, neither of them had good performances, but you want to make another big fight with Amanda Serrano. You have her go down to 126. There's not a lot of people for her to fight. Sky Nicholson's not in that division anymore. I guess you could fight Tiara Brown, but I don't know. But I like the Alicia Baumgardner fight. Seemed like they were moving towards that. They're both with MVP. And let's move on to that. Alicia Baumgardner, Jennifer Miranda. I had it a draw. It was a very close fight. I don't think that Baumgardner looked very good. I think that Miranda came to fight way more than we all expected her to, and was getting a lot of shots off on Baumgardner. I think some people even had Miranda winning. I'm fine with that scorecard. This is so many fights on the card were so razor thin that you can have it for either one. I was expecting Alicia Baumgardner to get the decision. To be totally honest, a lot of the MVP fighters were getting kind of favorable decisions outside of Amanda Serrano. Alicia Baumgardner, Shadasia Green, Ramla Ali. Oh my goodness. I think that Shadasia Green did win the fight, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, this one was a draw, so I wasn't really mad that Alicia Baumgardner won. I was expecting her to get the nod. The scorecards were wider than I think the fight was. It was 98, 92, 97, 93, which is kind of a joke. Alicia Baumgardner has never looked insane in her last couple of fights, and I would certainly favor Amanda Serrano for were they to fight. The big thing has been Baumgardner's size advantage, and now Amanda Serrano is kind of fighting around that weight, bigger than Alicia Baumgardner fought last night. So I'm ready to see that fight go down. We'll see how that one goes, but I wasn't too impressed with Baumgardner. I thought that she got a favorable decision, but I would like to see Miranda come back. I want to see a rematch is possible. I don't think it was the best fight though. And then Shadasia Green upset Savannah Marshall. Very surprising. Shadasia Green has not fought super well in their last few fights. Savannah Marshall's been out of the boxing ring for 2 years, and she looked really sloppy. She looked like she hadn't fought in 2 years. Her gas tank was not good. She was all over the place. Shadasia Green was the one initiating a lot of those clinches early, and even got a point taken away. And Savannah Marshall, it was weird afterwards. She was obviously upset, and she said, like, I'm not saying that I won, but how at least give me a fair fight. I'm like, it kind of sounds like you're saying you won. She's saying, like, they only had me winning 2 rounds, and not one judge had her winning 2 rounds. Every judge had her winning at least 4 rounds. So I don't really know. Sorry. Yeah, at least 4 rounds. One of them only had her winning 3 rounds. That's actually a little bit surprising. I had it 95-94 for Shadasia Green. 95-94 because of the 1 point deduction, so 6-4 in the rounds. It was a really close fight. I was really impressed with Shadasia Green. I did not think that she was going to be able to come in there and have a performance like that and just be as clean as she was. And she was still very sloppy. It was a very sloppy fight, but I thought that she did the better work than Savannah Marshall. Even if Savannah Marshall had gotten the decision, I would have said Shadasia Green had the better performance. Because going into this, nobody thought Green would win. Everybody thought Marshall was at a much higher pedigree. She should be able to beat her, and she wasn't. So as for what's next for her, Shadasia Green could rematch Franchon Cruz-Dezurn. They fought. That's her only loss, and that fight would now be for undisputed, so I would love to see that one take place. I think that makes a ton of sense. And if not that, then we could see her fight Claressa Shields. she was talking about it. Shields is one division up, or yeah, right now she is, but you can definitely have Shields come back down to fight at super middleweight, or you could go up to light heavyweight. Um, that fight makes a lot of sense. Clarissa was kind of talking about it. My only thing is that I would rather see the Cruz DAZN fight right now and see them go for undisputed. My issue is that in terms of wanting to make the big fights, should Cruz DAZN beat Green again, which is very possible, then Green doesn't get the Shields fight. Then it would be Shields Cruz DAZN too, which I don't know if they really want to fight. So part of me is like, we should probably just go ahead and strike while the iron's hot and go for the Clarissa Shields fight. But I don't know. There's not a lot of people for Clarissa Shields to fight, and Shadija Green is one of the only few that she hasn't fought yet and has a name and has a belt. So it really should be her in my opinion. But only time will tell what they decide to do. Ellie Scottney dominated Yamaleth Mercado. A star was born. She came onto the stage. I have a big opportunity. I'm going to look good. She beat her every single round. Added another belt to her collection. She's unified champion with 3 of the 4 sanctioning bodies. All that's left is WBA champ Mayeli Flores. I'm sure MVP is going to try and make that done Monday morning. She looked phenomenal, and she got a ton of new fans on Friday night. And it was a cool sight to see because she looked really, really good. She's certainly the queen of the 122-pound division. The Skye Nicholson fight is big, with Skye Nicholson joining that division, and we'll just see, man. It'll be very interesting what happens next. Shanika Johnson, Shanika Johnson, beat up Shredda Metcalf for 8 rounds. Dropped her in the 4th, I want to say. Yeah, dropped her in the 4th round and then stopped her after 8. It was an interesting stoppage where the ref called the doctor over to take a look at Metcalf, and Metcalf's like kind of talking back to him, like, why are you doing this? And he's like, I don't like the way she's responding to these punches. And she's like, how am I responding? And then the ref stops it and says, I'm calling it, which I think is fair. I think that Metcalf's corner probably should have thrown in the towel at some point. She was getting beat up. And to be honest, I think that had Metcalf kept their mouth shut and not talked back to the ref, she may have still been able to finish the fight. But I think that him just investigating it and making sure she was okay and her getting mad at him probably said, all right, well, you're done. But it was a great performance from Shanika Johnson. Just over a year ago, she was barely getting the belt after they read the wrong decision. And then she stopped Nina Hughes in their rematch. And then she beat Shredda Metcalf, stopped her. And now she's undisputed champion. We're going to wait until Dina Thorslund has her baby and is ready to fight again because that is the best fight in the division. I don't know if you can say Johnson's number 1 while Thorslund is not fighting. She actually holds the Ring Magazine belt still. But we'll see who they decide to do with Shanika Johnson in the interim because Thorslund's going to be out for around a year. But that is a fight I want to see because Shanika Johnson looked great in there. Moving on from there, Chantel Cameron dominated Jessica Kamara. I actually was pretty impressed with Kamara. She had a really poor performance against Caroline Dubois at the beginning of the year, and I wasn't expecting much from her, but she brought the fight. I did have Chantel Cameron winning the fight at 98-92. It was very dominant, and like I said, she definitely qualified that Katie Taylor trilogy, and I think that it's there for her. Ramla Ali absolutely robbed Lila Furtado. Ali won 1 round of that fight. You could maybe give her 2, but that was one of the worst robberies I've seen in a minute. I loved Ariel Helwani being honest with her and saying, like, look, I don't think that you won that fight. One of the judges had it 78-74, which is just an abysmal scorecard. I feel like Ramla Ali is somebody that, for whatever reason, gets pushed really hard when she's not shown to be that great. She got stopped in a fight. I can't remember who was against, and then they rematched and she beat her, and then she challenged Amalith Mercado for the title and lost that fight. And now here she was against Lila Furtado and nobody from Brazil who beat the hell out of her for 8 rounds, and then she robs that. I'm like, can we just stop? Like, she's clearly not that great, like it's just what it is. I mean, she's in the 122-pound division. They can try and get her a title shot, but she's not beating Ellie Scottney. They should do the rematch because that was a gross robbery. That was horrible. And I loved Ariel being like, look, I don't think you won the fight. Do you? And she's like, oh, I think I won. No, you don't. She knew that she won. She knew that she lost. Apparently, she said to Ariel, he said, before they read the scorecards, that was a tough fight. She knew. But that was just, very upsetting. But it is what it is. It's boxing, and this kind of stuff happens. Tam Tabolt stopped Mary Casamesa in 5 rounds. She looked great. She fought 3-minute rounds and showed, look, when you give us enough time, we get the knockout. And she did. She had a first round knockdown in the 3rd minute and then stopped Casamesa in the 5th round. And look, Casamesa was ranked number 1 by all 4 sanctioning bodies. This was a title eliminator with the WBA and really every sanctioning body. So Tam Tabolt really could be fighting in a world title in her 4th fight. in her fourth fight, which is insane. She's looked very, very good as a pro, and she's ready to mix it up with the likes of Shadija Green, Savannah Marshall, Franchon Cruz Dessert, Clarissa Shields. She's ready to get in that mix, and I can't wait to see that happen. But yeah, it was a very fun card. I thought Netflix looked great. There was no buffering. I think that the pacing of the main card was really, really slow, and they had like 20 minutes of filler in between every fight to try and stretch it out to make it a longer event. Because again, you have four women's fights that are only 10 2-minute rounds. It's not that long. They could have had the event done in 3 hours, but they had tried to stretch it out to 4.5, which I didn't love. But it is what it is. It was still a very good card, and yeah, man, it's crazy. Katie Taylor beat Amanda Serrano 3 times, which is just very unlucky, but it is what it is. Now let's move on to the next event in New York City this weekend, Ring 3. So tonight, of course, we have Ring Magazine 3, headlined by Edgar Berlanga, Hamzah Sheeraz, and Shakur Stevenson, William Zepeda. And yeah, let's just talk about this card. So starting it off, you have Muhammad Alakel and Reito Tsutsumi. Alakel, okay prospect from Saudi Arabia. I expect that he'll get the job done, probably by decision. Reito Tsutsumi, the big ring ambassador, Japanese prospect, he needs a stoppage. He does. They're giving him an opponent who I think is like 2-7, so shouldn't be super difficult. But his debut at Times Square was nothing stellar, and he needs to look really good tonight. This is at the Louis Armstrong Stadium. Then you have David Morrell, Imam Kataev, which has been very interesting. Obviously, Imam Kataev just got busted for PEDs with the IBA and banned there. But they're letting him fight on this card, which is just silly to me. Obviously, I think that David Morrell is the favorite in this fight. It's only 10 rounds, which I was a little bit surprised at. I feel like it should be 12. But I think that David Morrell wins this fight. I'm just going to be straight up. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a challenge for him. But Imam Kataev's last fight was a little bit dicey. And, of course, Morrell lost to Benavidez in the last fight. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But I still think that Morrell is a fantastic fighter. And I was almost picking him to beat Benavidez. But, yeah, I think that he beats Kataev. Probably by decision. I don't know if this fight's going to be a war. Both these guys are going to throw a ton of leather, and it's going to be great watching. But, yeah, I'm picking Morrell. As for Alberto Puello, Subriel Matias, is a very, very good matchup. Very great in the 140-pound division. Both like top 10 super lightweights. Another boxer versus puncher kind of fight, and we know who usually wins those. I think it's going to be Alberto Puello tonight. I think that he's going to have another close decision victory over Subriel Matias. We know how it goes with Matias. If he can't stop you before then you'll probably beat him on points, almost like Deontay Wilder. And I think that that's what we're going to see on Saturday night. I think that Puello is going to slightly outbox Matias and put on a victory. This is probably the closest fight of the night, or outside of the main event. I think it is. It's a great fight. Co-main event, Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. I think that Shakur wins this. I think that we all do. The question is how. I think this fight could go so many ways. It's possible that Zepeda's output just overwhelms him and he just beats up Shakur. That's very possible, and Shakur can't really match the fire. It's possible that Shakur tries to make this a firefight and is able to even hurt Zepeda, as we know he's been hurt before. Maybe he can even stop him late. It's possible that there could be a close fight to the decision. Shakur could dominate him while looking good, or dominate him while looking really slow and boring. Or not slow, but low output. And we'll see. I do think Shakur Stevenson wins this fight by decision, and I think it's going to be a wide decision. The question is he going to make it a fight, or is he going to make it a boxing match? And we'll see. I tend to think that he's going to try and make it entertaining enough, but still be Shakur, and still outbox him, and still move around, and still not throw an overwhelming amount of combinations, because you do not want to get into the pocket with William Zepeda. He's just a monster. He will outthrow you. So we'll see what his game plan is, but I do think Shakur wins this fight. Main event, Edgar Berlanga, Hamzah Sheeraz. This one is so tough to call. And listen, I'm going to be 100% honest here. I have not really thought too much about who I think is going to win. I'm just very excited for it. These guys are both big punchers. Edgar Berlanga coming off the loss to Canelo. Hamzah Sheeraz moving up a division after the draw to Carlos Adames. As for who I think wins, I just have to ask myself, who is the better fighter? I think Hamzah Sheeraz is the better fighter. I think he's more complete. I think that he's had better performances. And I think that he's in a better mind space. I think that Berlanga's always all over the place and cocky and arrogant and, trying to be that guy. And Hamzah Sheeraz is a gentleman. And he's very like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do my talking with my fists and I'm going to beat him on Saturday night. inshallah, and I think that he's going to. I don't want to say how. I think that it's very possible this fight ends inside the distance. In fact, I would probably say that it's more likely that it will than it won't. But I'm going to say Shiraz wins it. It's very possible Berlanga stops Shiraz. It is. He is the A side here. He is the New Yorker, but I think that Shiraz is coming for. Is Shiraz the underdog? I don't even know who's considered the favorite in this fight. But I'm going to say Shiraz wins it. It's 55-45, probably like 51-49 for me. It's so close, but I have to choose somebody, and I do think Hamzah has the good. So those are my predictions: Shiraz, Shakur, Puello, Morel. But it should be a really, really fun night. The card is looking stellar. It's going to be awesome. Four great competitive fights, and yeah, let's just see how they go tonight. Also coming up tonight, we have UFC Nashville, the return of Derek Lewis as he fights Towson Teixeira. I'm going to be straight up. I love Derek Lewis. I don't think that he's going to win this fight. Towson Teixeira, this is very much a changing of the guard type fight. Towson Teixeira, I think it's only his second fight in the UFC. He's coming in here. They want to give him a big spotlight against a big name. And the heavyweight division needs a new strong contender, and Teixeira could bring that. So I think that this fight's going to end in the first round, and it's probably going to go the way of Towson. But we'll see how it goes. Co-main event: Stephen Thompson, Gabriel Bonfim. They're feeding Thompson to the woods again, which sucks. I love Wonder Boy, but Gabriel Bonfim I'm sure will win this fight. Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. That should be a good one. Nate Landwehr, Morgan Charrier. Junior Tafa is back as well. Chris Curtis versus Max Griffin. And then wait on the card, you have Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Walter Walker, which is a pretty fun fight. So there's a lot of decent fights on this card. I'm actually looking forward to it. It should be good. I always love whenever the Black Beast fights. I don't know if he's going to win. I kind of doubt that he will, but I know it's always going to be something fun and entertaining with him. We also have BKFC 78, which is going to be headlined by, of course, let me see here. I haven't checked their names. Leonardo Perdomo. I know that, but who's he fighting? He's fighting Arnold Adams. Okay. I think that Perdomo's going to beat him. I think Perdomo is their big heavyweight hope. He's a big prospect with them. He always has like a first round knockout. He's very fun. He's very exciting. He's going to sell a lot of tickets at the Hard Rock, and I think that he wins this fight probably pretty early on. Co-main event, you're going to have G. Perez versus Andrew Strode for the interim flyweight championship. Is interesting. G. Perez, the guy who lost to Bryce Hall, and now he's fighting for the interim belt. BKFC interim championship is a little bit silly, but hopefully the winner of this can fight the champion next. They did just have their big champion summit. So I'm looking forward to that. They've got some other noticeable names on it. Brian Duran is fighting Robbie Peralta. Justin Ibarola is back, and he's taking on Robert Armas. And then you've also got Howard Davis versus Draco Rodriguez. So they've got a decent amount of their recognizable names on here that I'm seeing. Jake Bostwick as well. I remember him from Misfits and some other BKFC stuff. So I'm excited for it. It should be pretty fun. BKFC events are always fun, especially at the Hard Rock. And yeah, let's just see how it goes there. We also have tonight, it was meant to be Lester Martinez, but it's now going to be headlined by Vladimir Hernandez taking on Francisco Verón, which is still a great, great fight. Vlad Hernandez is always in a fun fight. He's never in a boring fight. He always brings the action and makes it a fun fight. But he's in with a tough challenge here. Francisco Verón was featured in the OTX tournament last year, where he suffered his first loss against Brandon Adams. That was almost a year ago, and he hasn't fought since then. So it's definitely activity certainly in the favor of Vlad Hernandez, who just fought a few months ago. I think he's probably fought like 2 or 3 times since Verón last fought. Verón is the younger fighter. He's also a little bit not as experienced. So I think this is a 50-50 fight, honestly. I'm not sure who I want to pick. I'll probably lean towards Vlad, but I'm very, very ready for Verón to win this fight. It's a really, really good one. I'm looking forward to it. You've also got Eric Badillo versus Gerardo Zepeda, which is a WBC light flyweight title eliminator. So the winner of this is going to be mandatory for Panya Pradabsri, who's about to rematch Carlos Canizales, so the winner of that fight. I think Eric Badillo will probably win this one. Zapata did recently fight Oscar Collazo in 2024 in June. Did not win that fight. He actually did drop Collazo early, I remember, and went the distance, but I would probably side with Badillo in this one. He's number 4 on BoxRec. He's 17-0. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. But you've also got Tesen Batar or Danabat returning against Humberto Galindo. Katsuma Akatsugi against Jonas Sultan. So some really good Asian fighters on this card. It's a really solid card. I hate that we don't get to see Lester Martinez, Pierre Dobombe, because that was going to be great. But yeah, and then you've got some golden boy prospects as well. Jordan Fuentes, Samuel Castellanos, Kevin Coutinho, Carlos Barderas, another prospect on this card. It should be a fun one. They're at the Save Mart Center in Fresno, which is like a 20,000 seat arena. It's just crazy. The Pro Box is moving up those levels. Obviously, it's meant to be Lester Martinez. I'm curious how many tickets they'll still have there and how full the arena will be without him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Should be a fun night, and all the fight cards tonight should be a lot of fun. Yesterday, we had the first press conference for David Benavidez, Anthony Yarde, Devin Haney, Brian Norman. There really was not much going on. Benavidez and Yarde were respectful. Mason and Noakes were respectful. We had, of course, the great Puma Martinez present. Bam Rodriguez was not, as he has a fight next week, and they're talking about, like it's very, very risky for him to be announcing his next unification fight before he can get through the first one. But then the only spice we got was Haney and Norman. They didn't have a lot of talking during the press conference necessarily against each other. Haney was just saying the Normans never fought anyone, but then their face-off talked a little bit. Haney pushed Norman, so that's definitely the fight that everyone is most kind of locked in for in terms of like the heat and the animosity. And yeah, that should be a good one. Rick Reno's dumbass was up there again saying some more stupid shit. I'm sorry, I just don't like him. I think he's annoying and weird. He was talking smack to Eddie for whatever reason, which was just so, I don't understand it. And, obviously he had his whole thing with Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall, by the way, who's now set to feature on a Riyadh season show, saying that he and Turkey are, he and Turkey were exchanging stuff on Twitter. So they seem to be working together, and they're going to get him on there, which I think is really just Turkey feeling bad that, Rick Reno's being a dick to him. And yeah, so he's going to be fighting on a season card. I did see a rumor, I think this is on Twitter, so I don't know if it's true at all, that they could be trying to set up for this card Jack Catterall versus Ryan Garcia. I don't know if I believe that, but if say they were to make that fight, just hypothesize with me. I don't think that's a good move for either of them. Catterall's coming off the loss to Anar Barboza, a questionable performance with Harlem Eubank, and to throw him in there with Ryan Garcia is kind of what he needs. He does need to go in there with somebody who's a power puncher and will make him fight. But it's just kind of like, is that really what we need to see Catterall do right now? As for Ryan Garcia, he just lost to Rolly Romero by being outboxed. You put him in with Catterall, he's going to be in another boring fight where he's not going to know what to do, and Catterall could outbox him. I don't think that's good matchmaking at all for Ryan Garcia. I think that Ryan Garcia needs to... You don't want to put Ryan Garcia in with a nobody. You want him to put him in with a challenging fight. But you also don't want to put him in one where the odds won't be in his favor. So I'm not really sure what you do with either of them. I wouldn't be mad if they made that fight. I just don't think it's a good move for especially Ryan Garcia. Tank Davis was arrested for domestic abuse that happened on Father's Day. So in front of his children, he hit his girlfriend, who was also their mother, apparently like in the back of the head or something. I don't know. I don't understand what it was about, but he hit her, which you can never do. It's scumbag behavior, especially in front of your children on Father's Day. Tank is on his way to having the most disappointing career in boxing history because he has so much talent and so much star power, and he just doesn't give a shit. He is a scumbag. He gets arrested all the time. He treats his family like this. He ducks everybody. He's John Jones. He's the John Jones of boxing. And it's just really, really disappointing because he could have been an all-time great, and he's just pissing it all away. And it looks like we're not even going to get this August 16th fight with Lamont Roach anymore. That hasn't been announced yet. It surely won't be now. It just sucks, man. It's just so, so disappointing. I just hate it, man. I don't even really want to talk about it. Merab versus Corey is being rumored for UFC 320. Yeah, I'm not surprised at that. I don't really know who else would be on it. I was kind of thinking, when are we going to get to see Ankalaev versus Pereira? Thought that could maybe be taking that slot. Aspinall and Cyril Gane are probably going to fight in Abu Dhabi at the next event. It could be, we know DDP's fighting Hamzat. JDM is probably going to fight Islam in November. Topuria just fought Oliveira. Volk is potentially... It could be Volk versus Yair Rodriguez, I guess, on that day is another possibility. Pantoja just fought Kai Kara France. And yeah, so Merab is certainly the front runner. I'm looking forward to that fight. But we think we all know that Merab is just going to beat him like he does everyone else. He's just a unit, man. He's just insane. Speaking of UFC, Dana says he still wants to make Ilya versus Islam, and that if Islam beats JDM at welterweight, he wants him to go back down to lightweight, I guess, to fight Ilya Taporia, or he wants Ilya to move up. He certainly shouldn't want Ilya to move up, to have Ilya immediately go for 3 titles with no defenses of the lightweight belt, only 1 defense of the featherweight belt. I think it should be Islam coming back down to lightweight, but that's good to hear because that was such a big fight that we missed out on that I was kind of worried if we'd ever see it again with them moving into different divisions. So it's good to know the UFC is still like, yeah, that's the one. That's the fight we need to make, and they're going to try and do it. And hopefully they do that next year once Islam beats JDM, which I'm sure he will. The WBO are set to order Denzel Bentley versus Andre Saavedra in a WBO title eliminator. I'm sure Bentley's a little bit annoyed because he thought he was already like mandatory, which he is, but hasn't been called mandatory yet. I thought he was going to get called mandatory against Janibek, but this is a really solid fight. Saavedra had a fight of the year with Matteo Tapia last year, one that ended in a draw that Saavedra probably could have gotten the decision in. And yeah, now he fights Denzel Bentley, which is a war, man. And hopefully Queensberry puts us on a show soon, or is on No Limit, but I doubt it will be. And it's a huge, huge fight and one that I'm really looking forward to. And the winner of that will be mandatory for Janibek Alam Kanali. Other than that, not a lot of other news. Jamel Herring, apparently he's going to BKFC. I don't know how true that is, but that'd be kind of cool, I guess. Another big name for them. Oh, yeah, I want to talk about this. So this is just ridiculous. We know the WBA has a problem with making interim and regular and eliminator title fights. There's all this stuff, and they've done it again. Last night was it in Italy, maybe? No, it was in Tirana. Alessandro Riguccini beat Jesus Correa. I don't even know how, what method. It's not even been updated on Boxrec yet. I just saw a picture of him with the belt yesterday, so I don't even know what happened. But Riguccini beat Correa to become the WBA interim super lightweight champion of the world. Riguccini is 30-0 and he's never fought anybody. He's never even fought outside of Europe. I mean, how does this happen? How can they put a guy like this into interim champion when he's never fought anybody? Correct me if I'm wrong, was Andy Hiraoka not already the interim champion and he still hasn't fought the champ yet? Did they take away the belt from him to give it to this guy? What the hell is going on? Why is he the interim champion? What did he do to earn that? It's so stupid. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, sure, throw him in with Gary Antoine Russell, see what happens. But this is the problem with everybody saying, like, oh, we make all these fights. It should just be the champions should be ordered to fight, the best. But this is who they order them to fight. Nobody wants to see Dimitri Bivol fight Michael Eifert. What? Come on. Nobody wants to see Canelo Alvarez fight William Skull. Nobody wants to see Jairo Pataya fight. I can't even remember the name of the guy they were trying to make him fight. It's just so stupid. They're ridiculous. And that's all the IBF. But the WBA does it too. They all do it. I mean, Bentley versus Saavedra is a good fight for an eliminator. Riguccini versus Correa? No, it's not. Nobody's ever heard of these guys. It's just very, very disappointing. And I don't even know, man. I don't even know. I hope they just take... I just want to forget that this even exists. It's so stupid. And then lastly, Walter Fury lost his fight the other day. It was a 4-round against somebody who I think their record was like 9-53. And I'm sorry, I don't want to be mean to British people, but I think it's so funny how Brits fight absolute like dust cans, and never look good against them, and then end up, they just fight these trash cans, go the distance, never knock them out, and then sometimes even get beaten by them. And it's like, bro, like, what? Who is training y'all? Like, how do you lose somebody who's literally his opponent, Christoph Sulgas, who, by the way, just stopped Jack Oliphant a few weeks ago, who's a guy who's already been stopped before as a young pro. He was 9-59, and he beat Walter Fury. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to me. But yeah, Walter Fury now 3-1. We'll see what happens. I just saw Frank's tweet saying, like, unlucky to Walter Fury tonight, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way. But yeah, so that's that. Crazy that he lost, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's all I've got for today. Thank y'all so much for listening. Enjoy the fights tonight. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited. Do another episode probably going to end up being Monday once I get caught up on all the fights happening. And or maybe even Tuesday. I don't know. It's going to be a busy couple days, but Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the fight, and peace out.